Nowadays, everything in the world moves fast. Social media apps have lowered our attention span. We get bored too quickly, so everything needs to happen fast. We talk fast, move fast, think fast, and act fast. Even football focuses on speed, mental speed at least. If a player takes too long, he will get pressed. If a ball moves too slowly on a break, the opponent can recognize. If you press too slowly, you will get outplayed. So, in a world where football depends on speed, it's fascinating to see a manager who insists on the opposite. You want to know his name? The new Brighton and Hove Albion head coach, Roberto De Zerbi. Yes, people, and welcome back to the channel on this fine morning. Well, I say it's fine, it's actually a bit chilly. As you can see, I've got my jumper, but I'm also wearing my thermal tracksuit. Enough of the weather. Today's tactic, we are going to be looking at Roberto De Zerbi, Brighton's new man. Obviously, Graham Potter moving to Chelsea meant that Brighton needed a new manager, and there's not many names in the world or the football world that excites me more than Roberto De Zerbi. Obviously, now I'm a Brighton fan. Today's video, we are going to be breaking down his key principles of play. We're going to try and replicate that in Football Manager and see how well we can do at Brighton in FM. So, let's talk tactics. In this analysis, we're going to be a lot less interested about his achievements so far, but instead very interested in his philosophy, his build-up to be exact. His build-up philosophy actually invites the opposition to press as much as possible. He wants this as it stretches the space between the opposition lines and allows them to catch the opponent on the wrong foot should they outplay them. This is obviously a risky strategy, as a successful press will lose them the ball in the most dangerous part of the pitch. The way Shakhtar always have passing options in their own box when getting pressed is by overloading in their own third. 6 to 8 players, including the goalkeeper, will always be in their own half. The high pressing teams will always press with less players than that, so Shakhtar will usually outplay them. Some teams might not immediately press, however, but have a certain pressing trigger that they are waiting for. To trigger this, the players actually might stop and step on the ball with their studs and stand still. It's really one of the most unusual things you will see on a football pitch. Lastly, De Zerbi also wants the speed of the attack to go through the roof once they have bypassed the first line. When building up from goal kicks, Shakhtar line up in a 2-4-3-1. There are two main reasons why this formation is extremely effective. Reason 1, the 2-4 build-up formation gives them passing options wide and inside. Unless someone presses with a 4-2-4, there will always be a free man in the build-up. And reason 2, if they do overload the 2-4 build-up formation, then we have a full numerical superiority in midfield as the 3-1 up front pins back the back four to a point where they cannot intervene. Concepts when building up, De Zerbi obviously uses lots of concepts from positional play in build-up. However, he's tweaked them a little bit. Concept number 1, wall passes. With wall passes, we are referring to a way of stretching lines by using the third man. It's for when the passer knows who he wants to pass to, but wants to drag an attention away from him before making the pass. These are called wall passes because the second man in the situation acts as a wall, simply bouncing the ball back. And concept number 2, rotations. One thing very common in De Zerbi's teams are rotations. This is when two players interchange positions and shift around rapidly to lose their marker. While this confusion happens and leads to an imbalance, the passer can look for an option. The most common rotation we see is when a fullback from a 2-4-3-1 moves into a central midfield position into a 2-3-5. Unfortunately, that wraps up the tactical analysis. It was written by Modern Tactics as well, and the link will be in the description. Make sure you go and check out his website. For now, we're going to go into Football Manager and have a look at the tactic we have created. So first off, we are going to look at the results that we did get at Brighton using this 4-2-3-1 De Zerbi tactic. The league did start off away to Tottenham, where we did get a 2-2 draw, Harry Kane scoring, but Lewis Dunk getting an own goal in that game. The second game, we did manage to win comfortably, beating Brighton 3-0. Danny Welbeck, McAllister and Leonardo Trossard getting those goals. The next game in the Premier League, we did smash Leeds 4-0 away from home at Ellen Road. Pascal Gross getting 2, Leonardo Trossard Trossard and Danny Welbeck grabbing a goal. Against the more difficult sides, we went away to Chelsea at the Bridge. We got a 1-0 defeat. Away at Old Trafford as well. I mean, this was very, very cruel. Victor Lindelof getting a 90th minute equaliser. We also went away to Anfield and, well, Darwin Núñez had a field day. We played Manchester City at home where Adam Webster did get a 93rd minute winner. Tottenham Hotspur at home. We had fun at the American Express Community Stadium, winning 5-0. Trossard getting a goal, Tariq Lamptey grabbing a hat-trick, and Lewis Dunk getting a goal in the 52nd minute. We had some high-scoring games like beating Leicester 5-2. We did beat Bournemouth 4-1. We beat Everton 5-2 as well. Of course, we touched on smashing Tottenham 5-0, and, well, we can see the other results. Looking at the Premier League final standards, Brighton are in the Champions League football for the next season. We finished 4th, winning 21 games out of our 38. We drew 9, majority coming away from home, and we lost 8. Again, majority coming away from home. We did get 72 points on the board. We were fairly safe in qualifying for the Champions League. In the Emirates FA Cup, we got knocked out in the 4th round on penalties by Middlesbrough, and in the Carabao Cup, we got knocked out in the 3rd round at home to Lincoln. We did score the 4th most goals in the Premier League. We also had the 4th most shots at goal. Looking at the possession, because De Zerbi does like to play possessive football, Brighton are 5th with the average possession with 53%, and we also completed the most dribbles whilst having the 4th least conceded. Player stats: Danny Welbeck, the 2nd top goal scorer with 24. Pascal Gross, the top assist. Looking at the most key passes as well, Pascal Gross is also there. Most dribbles made: Tariq Lamptey with his pace, Leonardo Trossard with 95, Solly March with 93, and for the fewest conceded, our goalkeeper's not there, weirdly enough, but we can see here for the clean sheets, Robert Sanchez joint 2nd with Alisson on 18. Looking at the team attacking polygon, we had 1.71 goals per game, which is better than the average. Expected goals per game on 1.62, again better than the average. Shots per game is better than the average as well. Dribbles per game, I mean, we saw that we had the most or the highest amount of dribbles per game, so no surprise that we're better than the average there. And now looking at the key players, Danny Welbeck scored 24 goals. No other player had double figures. Solly March had 7, Trossard had 7, Pascal Gross had 6. But now looking at the most creative players, Pascal Gross with 15 assists. Again, nobody else with double figures. Trossard on 9 though, Jacob Mulder on 8, Solly March on 7, and Lewis Dunk on 4. Enough of the numbers and the statistics. Now is finally time to look at this tactic and how it plays out. Here is Roberto De Zerbi's 4-2-3-1 tactic at Brighton. Is asymmetric, so slightly different to the 4-2-3-1 that I posted up yesterday. I felt that I had to do something different anyway, but also this is the 3rd time that I'm doing a Robert De Zerbi 4-2-3-1 tactic. Previous ones were with FM21, so you can see or could tell that I am a big fan of Robert De Zerbi. But let's go through the player roles, the instructions, and the tactical ideas. In goal, we do have a sweeper keeper. Let's just start out with the player roles. In goal, sweeper keeper on defend, taking fewer risks. I did notice that my goalkeeper did like to pump the ball a lot. It might be the fact that we are on positive mentality, but we also got tackle harder as well. Now, I've also noticed when the opposition do break through and our goalkeeper comes out, tackle harder actually forces the goalkeeper to engage a little bit more. So he's going to go into the tackle a little bit more. And no, it doesn't mean that he's going to come flying out of his goal to 2-foot tackle a striker. At the back, our 2 central defenders, we've got a nice mixture of someone playing some risky passes and bringing the ball out with their feet, but also someone playing safe with the ball as well. So both defenders do have pass it shorter, staying wider and tackle harder, because like we said in the analysis, we do want to invite the opposition to press. So we do want to pass it shorter, but also stay wider so we can stretch play and continuously have a passing option. For the fullbacks, they are fullbacks on attack, sitting more narrow and tackling harder. One reason why we're not using wing backs is because we want the fullback to have that flexibility and that expression to come inside sometimes. Again, in the analysis, we spoke about or touched on the fullbacks coming into central midfielder positions to try and create a 2-3-5 formation and not always stick with that 2-4-3-1 when building up. Another thing as well, but it might not necessarily happen on the right hand side, mainly because the inside forward has get further forward already hard coded. What should and could happen is natural overlaps and underlaps with the fullback getting further forward, but the wingers kind of holding their shape or holding their position out on the flank, apart from the inside forward, because he already has get further forward hard coded, so he's going to be getting further forward, and so too our fullback on attack. In central midfield, kind of our holding midfielder is a central midfielder on defense, shooting less often, tackling harder. When we are building up, this guy will be responsible for coming deep to collect the ball, and when we are attacking, he's going to be our attacking cover. When everyone's getting further forward, he's going to be holding his shape in midfield and trying to stop the opposition from counter-attacking. And his midfield partner is the carrilero, a role that we don't use very often. He's instructed to shoot less often and tackle harder, and his duty is to support and cover, but in lateral areas, not vertical. Now, going into the attacking midfield areas on the left-hand side, we do have an inverted winger instructed to sit more narrow, close down more, and tackle harder. But the winger on the right-hand side is a little bit more direct. He's going to be running a bit more towards goal, and he's going to be shooting less often, sitting more narrow, and tackle harder. You would notice a lot of our players will be sitting more narrow, and this actually helps with our press. As players are going to be closely positioned to each other, we are playing possession football, so we are playing short passing and close to each other. If we do lose the ball, that should be effective enough for us to press. Looking at the advanced playmaker, he's on support. He's going to be tackling harder. He's just going to be responsible for this area, feeding balls into the inverted forward and into the pressing forward, inverted forward, inside forward. Lastly, our striker, Danny Welbeck, is going to be a pressing forward on attack, but he has no added instructions. The tactical ideas and the principles, the mentality, we are on positive attacking width, setting it to fairly narrow, so we just spoke on it. We are going to be positioned closely to each other, trying to funnel play through the central areas, similar to what De Zerbi does in real life. At Brighton though, if things might change when De Zerbi takes over, but we are looking at his current tactical principles. Approach play, we are going to be overlapping on the left and overlapping on the right, though I did mention that it should happen naturally. We just want to force it a little bit. We are going to be playing out from the back, the passing directness, shorter tempo on standard, so we aren't playing at a high tempo. Patience, but we do need to inject some speed in the attacking third, and we are doing so by running at the defense and being more expressive. In transition, when the possession has been lost, we are going to counter press. Again, it just helps this tactic more when we are progressing with play, players operating closely to each other. If we do lose the ball, we can counter press effectively, so it does help the tactic. And when possession has been won, we can go on a break. If we do win the ball up in high areas, then the better for us. When the goalkeeper's in possession, we're just going to throw it long out to the fullbacks. If we want to be a bit over possessive, then you could distribute the ball to the centre backs and roll it out. We are going to be gauging our opponent's high, so we do have a higher line of engagement, but nothing too high. A standard defensive line, defensive width also on standard. Trigger press more often, so we are going to be breaking from our defensive positioning in order to try and win the ball back, prevent the short goalkeeper distribution, but also get stuck in. This works really well. Again, something that you can remove if you're giving away too many fouls or too many yellow cards. It's not an instruction that you should be using for 90 minutes during the game unless it's working really well for you, but you can be giving away too many fouls and too many yellow cards. Fouls on this game are very risky, especially when you are giving away dangerous free kicks. Away to Tottenham, where we drew 2-2 at White Hart Lane, and well, we had 9 shots to their 14, but we had 6 on target, and look at our XG. It is much higher than theirs, and we was kind of unfortunate not to come away with all 3 points. So our first goal did come from a corner, Pascal Gross whipping it in, Lewis Dunk. Well, he flicks it onto Danny Welbeck and he puts the ball in. For our second goal, Pascal Gross inside the box, Esputinine, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Here's McAllister on the ball, Gross from outside the box and just buries it. Now for the Tottenham Hotspur goals. Well, they score from a corner. Exact same position. Here is Harry Kane now. And oh, what's that? You can't be mad. You cannot be mad at that. But here is the own goal now from Lewis Dunk. Emerson Royale on the right-hand side. He whips it in and yeah, Dunk just slides it in his own goal. Our first win, however, came in the second game at home where we beat Brentford 3-0 very comfortably. 19 shots to their 8, 11 on target to their 1. And again, the XG over 2.0. Possession-wise, 52% of the ball completed, 91% of our passes. For the first goal, Pascal Gross from a corner, another one, Dunk, far post, Trossard. I mean, that routine works really well for us. And for the second goal, Solly March comes inside with the ball. He's running wide now. He goes towards the byline, pulls it back, McAllister in the net, 2-0 to Brighton. And for the third goal, here is Tariq Lamptey, plays it into Lallana, plays it to McAllister. A nice ball to Pascal Gross. What a through ball to Trossard, and what a goal for Brighton. Great result away to Leeds as well at Ellen Road, where it was Leeds 0, Brighton 4. 17 shots to their 7, 8 on target to their 2. Again, the XG over 2.0. Possession-wise, 53% of the ball, completed 90% of our passes. I didn't make a sub in this game. Pascal Gross was on fire at the beginning of the season, and he was also responsible for the first goal in this game as well. Here's Danny Welbeck running down the left flank, plays it into Trossard, and there's Gross for our post, and a lovely header into the top corner. Here's the second goal of the game. Lamptey in the midfield to Mulder. Jakub Mulder brings the ball forward. There's our Carrilero. Here's Trossard now, comes inside. What a goal. What a goal. What a guy. Here's Pascal Gross now with another corner. Lewis Dunk, and it's the same goal. It's the same routine. Whip it to Dunk, and then Welbeck's at the far post. Here is Solly March now. Breaks through. He goes towards the byline, pulls it back Lallana. Pascal Gross, he's just so comfortable in that area. Given I am an Arsenal fan, I really do not like Tottenham, so I was jumping up and down when this game happened. Brighton 5, Tottenham 0. Leonardo Trossard scoring in the 3rd minute. Lamptey getting a hat-trick, and Lewis Dunk completing the scoring. Well, I say completing the scoring, he actually scored after Tariq Lamptey's first goal. But we had 25 shots, 16 on target, XG well over 3 this time. Possession-wise, 58% of the ball, completed 91% of our passes. Lloris tries to clear the ball, Veltman intercepts it, falls to Pascal Gross, he plays it back to Lewis Dunk. Here's Mulder now. Oh, what a ball. Trossard through. I mean, I thought that was going to Welbeck, but Trossard says, no, that's mine. That is mine. Now for the second goal, Espinun, yeah, that guy. He throws it to Trossard, plays it back. Here's Mulder now. A lovely ball to Lamptey. Far post, he finds space. 2-0 to the boys. Now for the 3rd goal, Pascal Gross whips it. Dunk this time, just nods it in. He doesn't think to flick it on to Welbeck this time. Here's Welbeck on the ball now. Espininan. I'm just going to say his name differently every time he touches the ball. Welbeck. Oh, that's just simple. That's really easy. Lamptey second, and for Lamptey's hat-trick, here's Veltman, Webster on the ball, Lallana, McAllister, lovely through ball, Lamptey, he's got, cheeky. And lastly, before we leave, one of my favourite games, or my favourite game throughout this whole season, it has to be beating Nottingham Forest 3-1 at home. It's not so much of the opposition or the actual scoreline, it was more about the performance. 35 shots at goal, 12 on target. Now, we did have 35 shots and a lot were headers, but we also created some very, very good chances. We had 71% of the ball, completed 91% of our 1,137 passes attempted. So our first goal came from a Nottingham Forest throw-in. It goes to Taylor. Serge Aurier just hoofs it forward. Oh, actually, it's their first goal. What am I talking about? Taiwo Awoniyi. What a finish. I don't know what I was on there. But here's our left back. Plays it to Mulder. I've stopped calling him by his fake name. Just called him our left back. Solly March whips it hard and low. Danny Welbeck. Lovely, lovely footballing goal. Here's the second goal now. Jakub Mulder plays it into Gross. Gross to Welbeck. Welbeck plays a lovely ball to Marsh. He's look at that patient build up inside Nottingham Forest's box. Here's our last and final goal. Lallana plays it to Gross to Welbeck through and goal. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. But unfortunately, that wraps up this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Thank you guys for the request as well. If you are enjoying these type of videos, make sure you leave it a thumbs up, gives it a comment, but also you can share it as well. I appreciate you guys watching. Shout out to my patrons as well. I'll see you guys soon. Stay safe. God bless.